A special nighttime Dragon Boat race is back after 3 years.
A Taiwan-U.S. trade agreement heads to the U.S. Senate for approval. China's feminists are being detained on a vague and controversial charge. Plus, Taiwan looks beyond semiconductors and pushes for an early lead in 6G and quantum computing. Warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. It's day 2 of the Dragon Boat Festival holiday, and races are taking place all around Taiwan. But there's one special race in Changhua that happens after sundown. Our reporter Yu Jinghuang was at the opening of the 3-day event.
Paddling towards the setting sun. The day is about to end, but these dragon boat races are just heating up. It's a special nighttime celebration of the Dragon Boat Festival that, because of COVID, hasn't been held for 3 years. The organizers hope the event's grand comeback can give the tourist town of Lukang a post-pandemic boost.
鹿港本身它是一个开放式的博物馆，那这边的人文底蕴非常的多。那透过这样的活动，让更多人进来到鹿港来亲近鹿港。
Among the town's attractions are its well-preserved Minnan-style structures, but they are not the main feature during the Dragon Boat Festival. Participants, even those from out of town, came early, braving the heat to prepare. But the races don't get underway until evening to avoid high afternoon temperatures. Beyond competing, people join the race just to have fun.
我喜欢就是快要到的时候，大家一起加速，然后夺标手把旗子拔起来的感觉。其实本来就想说比完就好了，然后就不小心晋级了这样，然后所以等一下跟明天还要再上场。
There is also a team from one community who practiced hard before the race on land.
最有趣的地方就是大家就是会意见不合啊，然后你刚开始就是前面的桨会打到后面的桨啊，然后姿势不对啊，有时候我们要来这里现场练习的时候，我们的屁股跟那个位置，有时候我们的船会斜一边啊，大家就会叫起来。
The Dragon Boat race has a long history in the Chinese-speaking world. It's believed to have started as a commemoration for Qi Yuan, a poet and statesman who drowned more than 2,000 years ago. The race was a rescue effort by local fishermen. Since then, the memorial became a type of sport, and the festival, a prayer for good fortune.
The race started at 3 in the afternoon and will last until 8 at night. The competitors won't be paddling in the dark. After the sunset, these dragon boats and the river are all lit up.
More than 2,000 people came to compete, and many more lined the 300-meter-long water track to watch. A much more comfortable viewing experience without the blazing sun.
第一个天气好凉，比较凉爽。那第二个，我觉得灯光照下来，觉得影射下来好漂亮。
端午真的太热了，然后晚上对小朋友来说比较友善一点。我们从小也是这样看的长大，然后我们现在我长大了，我也希望我的小孩也融入这个习俗里面。
The races last for 3 days, but these light installations will remain for another month. Local authorities hope the festival's energy will stay as the crowd leaves, helping Lukang's nighttime economy recover even after the holiday. Kamashi and Yu Jinhuang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's recently been holding more events raising awareness of its Hakka community. President Tsai Ing-wen says the government will do more to promote Hakka culture and language.
我们运用国家级的力量及资源来传承并且提升客庄的文化。
Tsai was speaking in Taipei on Thursday at an event promoting tourism in places that are mainly Hakka speaking. Hakka people make up about 20% of Taiwan's population, but less than half of those still speak the language. Tsai herself is half Hakka and says it's important to let the world see the culture's development in Taiwan. The 2023 World Hakka Expo is also set to kick off in Taoyuan in August. The founder of Apple supplier Foxconn has raised fresh speculation that he'll run for Taiwan's presidency next year. Terry Guo met with political figures in Miaoli County in western Taiwan on Thursday. His trip has led some to think he might want to run as an independent candidate in January's elections. Guo recently lost out on a bid to be the nominee for the Kuomintang, Taiwan's main opposition party. At the time, he said if he became president, he could improve economic ties with China. On Thursday, he spoke to Miaoli residents during a ceremony for the Dragon Boat Festival.
过去的历史告诉我们，不论你来自哪里，我们都是台湾人，我们都可以在这块土地建立自己的家园，都可以在这里。我们要谨记族群融合，这就是我们能够共荣共存。
Taiwan's top trade negotiator is upbeat about a landmark trade deal between Taiwan and the U.S., which is going through the congressional approval process. He says the next steps won't be easy, but there's cause for optimism. John Van Trieste has this report.
A Taiwan-U.S. trade agreement is on its way to the U.S. Senate. The House of Representatives gave its stamp of approval on Wednesday. The agreement includes measures that take aim at corruption and reduce customs formalities. This agreement is step one in a program called the U.S. Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade. It's meant to boost trade and ties between the U.S. and Taiwan as both countries' relations with China worsen. China claims Taiwan and has not ruled out using force to take control of the country. As the U.S. House gave the agreement its green light, the chair of its Ways and Means Committee had this to say.
This initial trade agreement negotiated by the Biden administration is a good step. It shows the world that the Chinese Communist Party will not intimidate the United States from deepening our relationship with Taiwan.
Meanwhile, the Taiwanese reaction has been mixed. Critics include former Premier Sean Chen, who says the agreement should have lowered tariffs, a key part of most free trade accords. But in an interview Wednesday, Chief Trade Negotiator John Dung defended the agreement.
假设美国的政策不改变，没有人有办法。我们不能够强人所难。现在一直嘲笑说啊，没有关税协定，这个东西就不值钱，不能够说少了一样就通通把它推翻了。
Dung said the next two stages could be much harder to clear. The second phase will include talks on agriculture, which has been a stumbling block in the past. Taiwan's decision 2 years ago to allow U.S. pork treated with a leanness-enhancing drug was controversial. And he says the third phase, involving information security, could be harder still. But for now, Dung says this initial agreement is a big step, both in its scope and in the equal footing it gives both sides. John Su and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Germany's chancellor says he warned China against using force to take Taiwan. Olaf Scholz said this in a speech to the country's parliament after hosting the first Chinese delegation since the COVID-19 pandemic.
Alle einseitigen Versuche, den Status quo im Ost- und im südchinesischen Meer mit Gewalt oder Zwang zu verändern, lehnen wir entschieden ab. Das gilt insbesondere für Taiwan.
Scholz says tensions between the West and China could risk sparking a conflict in Asia. His comments were part of a larger discussion about how the NATO alliance could do more to ensure security. There are currently plans to open a NATO office in Japan. In related news, NATO's largest ever air drills have wrapped up in Germany. It comes as the security bloc plans to open an office in Japan to promote its idea of collective defense in Asia. Jaime Okan explains.
F-16s, U.S. A-10s, and Eurofighters. These are just some of the aircraft that took part in Air Defender 23, NATO's largest ever joint air drills. For the past 10 days, more than 250 aircraft from 25 countries gathered at Air Force bases across Germany. Militaries here are practicing how to work together and fly as one massive unit.
Even though the language is English, everyone has a different accent. So also air traffic control or controllers in America speak in very specific cadence with specific words, and they're different when you leave America.
The drills are part of a push by NATO countries to show their collective strength. The Western Military Alliance is over 75 years old and is made up of 31 states. One of its founding principles is that an attack on one of its members will be an attack on all of them. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in early 2022 triggered increased cooperation between European nations and the U.S. Ukraine borders several NATO countries, leading to concerns that the war could spill into alliance territory. Officials at the air defender exercises say that with war happening so close to home, these drills are a way for the group to display its capabilities.
Wir wissen seit dem russischen Überfall auf die Ukraine, dass die europäische Sicherheitsarchitektur, so wie sie über Jahrzehnte lang von uns unterstellt worden ist, eben nicht mehr funktioniert und dass deswegen die Landesverteidigung ganz zwingend eine wesentlich größere Bedeutung haben muss.
NATO is primarily a Western alliance, but other non-member nations are now working to form closer ties with the alliance. Japan has stepped up its military exchanges with countries like the UK and recently revealed plans to open a NATO office in Tokyo. NATO's shift to the Indo-Pacific is largely a reaction to China's provocation in the region, specifically around Taiwan. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, there are heightened concerns that a similar conflict could spark in Asia. As such, NATO is working to be prepared for any potential clash.
If there would be a regional security mechanism connect well with the United States, with NATO, of course, this mechanism will reassure regional security in the large part of Indo-Pacific.
The idea of collective self-defense is unique to Europe. There isn't a group like NATO in Asia. Analysts say that for a country like Taiwan, which faces the threat of invasion from China, having support from other nations could help deter a conflict.
All these countries now integrate together, preparing for the worst to come. And basically, they are considering China will pose a potential threat to regional security, which is a part of a common interest with Taiwan.
Already this year, Germany, the UK, and Canada have promised to deploy naval ships in the Indo-Pacific. With more countries working together and more military hardware in the area, they hope their presence won't be seen as a form of provocation and will help deter a conflict from igniting. James Lin and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
Women activists in China have been disappearing. Their cases seem to be connected to a vague and controversial charge. Herel Hughes reports on what this means for the rights of women in China.
This is Zhao Zixin. She is a 26-year-old editor from China.
当大家看到这段视频时，我已经被警察带走了，就像我的其他几位朋友一样。
On November 27, 2022, she and her friends attended a memorial for the victims of a fire during China's zero-COVID policy. This movement is now known as the White Paper Protests. The women were summoned by the police and released, but 2 weeks later, they started disappearing one by one. Tsai went missing 6 months ago, on December 24, 2022. The charge? Picking quarrels and provoking trouble.
This is a charge the government often levels against anybody who try to criticize the government, who just want to express their ideas. So this is in the Chinese language, it's called a 口袋罪, a pocket crime that anything can be construed as picking quarrels and provoking trouble.
China has a pattern of disappearing activists. The exact number remains unknown and difficult to verify, but what connects them is the charge, picking quarrels and provoking trouble. The most well-known case in China was the Feminist Five. They were a group of women detained on International Women's Day in 2015. They gained worldwide attention. The women planned to hand out stickers on public transport advocating against sexual harassment. They were detained for picking quarrels and provoking trouble, and interrogated for foreign connections.
They always ignore the fact that women have the independent idea and powerful enough to raise our voice, so they will just bring other things like someone must be manipulating you and that someone must be foreign power.
Zheng and the 4 other activists were in detention for 37 days. They were released after international outcry.
In my time when I was detained, a lot of people in China do a lot of action to call for our freedom. But nowadays, like in the white paper movement or in Huang Xueqing or Li Qiaochu's case, and when people try to call for their freedoms, they will get into trouble.
Censorship within China is strong and has only gotten stronger since 2015. Anything deemed subversive on social media, such as talk of human rights or criticism of the government, is flagged and deleted immediately. But people find workarounds. During China's Me Too movement, the hashtag was banned. So netizens started using the emojis for rice and bunny because they sounded like Me Too in Mandarin.
There are different kinds of activism, labor activism, anti-discrimination activism. A lot of have really died down because people have been imprisoned, people have been driven to exile. But women's rights movement is still there. So, a lot of noise online. People still wanted to talk about it. People still wanted to organize. It's quite inspiring.
Cao Zhixin was released after 4 months, but an unknown number of women remain in detention for picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Despite the risks, this has only enhanced their solidarity and boosted their activism on the streets. Leon Lien and Herel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
China's capital city smashed through a heat record on Thursday. Beijing recorded its hottest day in June since records began, with mercury reaching nearly 42 degrees Celsius. It follows searing heat waves across northern China last week. Medical experts say temperatures above 40 degrees increase the chance of heat exhaustion and may cause the body to shut down. Air temperature records are being broken around the world. Around 100 people in India died from the heat earlier this week. A planet-warming El Niño event coupled with the climate crisis are making heat waves more intense. World leaders called for action on climate change and inequality at a concert in Paris.
And all of us need to act today in order to save the planet tomorrow. We will only get where we need to go if you are prepared to step up to the plate, and if the countries across the world can increase the scale and the speed of what we have to do.
Thursday's concert followed days of meetings aimed at building a new global financial pact. It would see funds from richer countries funneled toward poorer ones that are feeling the worst effects of the climate crisis. The funds are also intended to protect biodiversity and finance the transition to renewable energy. But few leaders from high-income developed countries have shown up for the summit. This has raised skepticism that the summit can achieve its goals. Coming up, a monstrous-looking dish hits the tables in Western Taiwan, and the reviews so far are mixed. Stay tuned for more.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
For more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. U.S. industrial giant 3M will pay out more than $10 billion over claims it released so-called forever chemicals into the environment. The company will use the money to help clean the chemicals from U.S. water supplies. But it won't have to admit liability. 3M is facing thousands of lawsuits over contaminations with PFAS. PFAS are long-lasting chemicals that don't easily break down in the human body or environment. They've been linked to cancer, but they're still used in daily products like cookware and cosmetics. 3M has committed to stop producing the chemicals by 2025. The company makes tens of thousands of products in Taiwan. The search for a missing tourist submersible has ended in tragedy, with all 5 people aboard dead. After a 5-day international search, rescuers say the vessel suffered a catastrophic implosion. Experts say all its passengers would have died immediately. The vessel lost contact on Sunday soon after diving underwater to see the remains of the Titanic. Rescuers have found pieces of the submersible at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, close to the wreckage of the century-old ocean liner. Taiwan's semiconductor giants make the world's most advanced computer chips. That's put the country at the front of a global struggle for tech supremacy. But now Taiwan is pushing for an early lead in a whole new field, 6G and quantum computing. Suvan Paul reports.
5G networks are still rolling out in countries around the world, but researchers are already exploring the next generation of communication, the quantum leap to 6G. And a conference in Taipei is bringing together some of the world's top quantum scientists to brainstorm our digital future. Some of the world's most renowned quantum scientists, entrepreneurs, and researchers are here today. The subject of the discussion is so complex that you have to be an expert to understand most of it. But the outcome of their research may have direct impact on our daily lives and beyond it. Put simply, quantum is a way of computing that does away with traditional bits, those ones and zeros that make your PC run. Instead, it uses special hardware to produce quantum bits or qubits. They can be both 1 and 0 at the same time. This makes quantum computers' magnitudes more powerful than the laptops we use now. The technology has the capacity to change almost every part of our lives, including making possible the next generation of communications. To find out how, Janis Notzel has come all the way from Germany, birthplace of the father of quantum science, Max Planck, to Taiwan to organize this conference.
Taiwan is, of course, known globally for its strength in the microfabrication, chip fabrication, and all the technology that we research, once it reaches a certain level of maturity, will need to be implemented.
The event's logo, with a map of Taiwan at the center, says it all. This country is gearing up for the future of communications.
Taiwan is very good in semiconductor industry, so we introduced the quantum technology to go beyond the state of the art.
But it's not just about 6G. Anirban Pathak is a key member of India's initiative on quantum tech. He says it has the potential to transform the way navies like Taiwan and India's fight at sea.
It is expected that there will be sensors for quantum radar and they will be able to detect stealth aircraft. Submarines are expected to be detected. Some country has 5 submarines and some country has 1. So they are equal because nobody knows where is the submarine. So if the submarine is detected, then power game will change.
Keeping 6G networks safe from hackers is one of the key challenges in moving to this technology. These scientists hope to use quantum computing to find solutions to meet this challenge.
This is what this Congress is about, how to manage or how to build secure digital communication systems.
The move to 6G is still years away, and scientists are fleshing out just what it will mean for the world. But as the global race for tech dominance ramps up, Taiwan is working to put itself at the front of the pack. Andy Xue and Shubham Pal for TaiwanPlus.
A restaurant in Yunlin County is offering a very unusual take on classic ramen. But this dish has been dividing opinions. Some might even say it's rather monstrous. Tomasz Kopar tells us more.
Look out, it's Godzilla! But don't worry, the king of monsters isn't actually showing up at dinner tables in western Taiwan. Instead, people there can now try out Godzilla Crocodile Ramen, the newest menu item at a ramen shop in Yunlin County. Crocodiles are a delicacy in some parts of the world, but not in Taiwan. And so far, opinions are split on the unusual-looking dish. Marinated crocodile is the dish's main ingredient, along with baby corn, quail eggs, mushrooms, and ramen broth. The shop's owner hopes the soup will give patrons an unforgettable and unique dining experience. The meat is supposedly rich in collagen, said to be good for skin, and some say it tastes like chicken. Even though crocodile legs are not used in traditional medicine, other parts of the animal are believed to have health benefits. But with a price tag of almost $50 per bowl, it's unlikely this dish will be sold on a huge scale. Patrick Chen and Tomasz Koper for TaiwanPlus.
And staying on reptiles, there's one special Dragon Boat Festival guest that hasn't been seen yet. A small snake who usually makes an appearance this time of year in central Taiwan. Ever since 1979, this Taiwanese tree snake, or one that looks like it, has shown up at the Tianzhou Temple in Nantou around the time of the festival. But so far it hasn't been seen, raising concern among visitors who come to the temple just to see the snake. But temple officials say there's no need to worry. The regular reptile visits have just been getting later as time has gone by. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with more images from the nighttime dragon boat races in Changhua County, which we covered at the beginning of today's show. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.